Hello and welcome to the Met Office 10-day trend. Now, some 10-day trends are easier than others. And, well, I'll be honest, this one isn't one of the easier ones. We've actually been a bit spoilt so far this year with strong signals from the computer models about the weather in the longer term, so that many of our 10-day trends have had good indications about cold spells or hot spells on the horizon. But this one's a little tricky. To use a complex meteorological term, things get a bit messy this weekend. Why so? Well, because things become quite slow moving, and so small weather features make a big difference to the forecast day on day, and that is all because the jet stream is becoming more complicated. There's nothing unusual about this, particularly so at this time of year. What does it mean for our weather? Well, one thing's for sure, it does look as if it will be a lot cooler, certainly, than it was last weekend. There will be some downpours around, especially as we go through the weekend. But of course, the days are longer and the sun is pretty strong at this time of year, so there will still be some sunshine. It's not going to rain constantly for 10 days, far from it. So it is a complicated picture. Let's get through the relatively easy stuff first of all. The next couple of days through Thursday and Friday. One weather front clearing away, a little ridge of high pressure bringing many places a fine day on Thursday. Another weather front approaching on Friday. Let's take a look at Thursday's picture. There's that first weather front clearing away, so it may be a bit damp across parts of the east early on. For many, it's a bright day on Thursday with a sprinkling of showers, mostly across northern areas, and temperatures, well, in the sunny spells, generally around about average for the time of year. But of course, 16 degrees in the south is a lot cooler than it has been, but still pleasant enough with reasonably light winds. Then it does get quite chilly on Thursday evening and into Friday morning. Just a hint of blue on this chart. There may be some pockets of frost. Certainly a ground frost is possible across parts of northern Britain on Friday morning. Gardeners, take note. And then the forecast for Friday, well, many eastern areas will stay sunny, but in the west, that next weather front approaches, and that means cloud and outbreaks of rain will be spreading in here through the day, and the winds will also start to pick up. Whereas in the east, well, we'll hang on to some sunshine, and here temperatures again, not as high as they have been, but pleasant enough, and probably a little bit above average, 17 or 18 Celsius. Whereas with the wet and windy weather approaching in the west, temperatures here only 9 or 10. So big contrasts on Friday, but some fine weather for many central and eastern parts. Then things get, as I said earlier, a little bit messy. Why so? Well, it's all to do with this weather front and how it moves across the country during Friday and into Saturday. It doesn't whiz across the UK like many weather fronts do. It just kind of meanders and then stagnates. And the position of that weather front is open to some uncertainty for the weekend, and it's going to make a big difference. Now, this is the most likely position of the weather front, but I'm going to show you a graphic now which shows many computer models and their projections of where that weather front could be on Saturday at midday. This is called a spaghetti chart, and each line represents a different model's position of that weather front. The most likely scenario is across eastern parts of England and Scotland, but many of the computer models have the weather front just a few hundred miles further east. And that makes such a big difference, because if the weather front is stagnating, is slow moving, then it's going to be the difference between, well, a day where it's grey and wet and cool, or if that weather front's out in the North Sea, many eastern areas could also see plenty of spring sunshine. So there is uncertainty about the position of that front this weekend, and it will make a big difference to the forecast. One of the things we can definitely say this weekend, it will be cooler than last weekend, but last weekend was pretty exceptional. And there will be, in places, some heavy showers around, especially so on Sunday, because although there's some uncertainty about when that weather front will scoot away, it does look as if low pressure will then take over our weather charts through the second half of the weekend, and we'll see bands of heavy showers working their way in from the west. Again, there'll be some uncertainty about the position of those low pressure systems and the showers too. Now, why the uncertainty? Why the difficulty in forecasting? Well, let's rewind back to Friday and show what's creating or helped create this area of low pressure. It's all to do with the jet stream, that fast-moving ribbon of air high up. This is the position on Friday. Notice this quite big dip, this big U-bend in the jet stream. That is called a trough, quite a significant trough. This one is quite a big one. And as we go through the weekend, well, this trough is going to kind of break up, and We call it trough disruption. But there's always some uncertainty when this happens. It doesn't maintain that U shape. It splits away through the course of the weekend. One branch of the jet stream moves across northeast Scotland, another dives down to the Mediterranean. So it's that transition through the course of the weekend into Monday that's causing the uncertainty with the position of the fronts and the low pressure. But it does look as if we'll see low pressure dominating through Sunday and into Monday as well. So the early part of next week, again, with low pressure sitting right across the UK, there will be some heavy downpours around. And as I said, it will be a lot cooler than it was last bank holiday Monday. Then, looking beyond that, well, complications from the jet means complications down at the surface with pressure patterns. But it looks as if, although low pressure may hang on through Monday, there is an area of high pressure trying to build in from the south. And there are signals that through next week, well, we may just see high pressure starting to win out. Now, because there's a lot of uncertainty about the weekend, there always has to be uncertainty following that too. But I'm going to show you a chart now which maps the progress or the balance of forecasts into next week. Don't worry too much about the numbers, but the dates of the forecast going along the top there. So from Monday next week through to the following weekend. Down this side, these are all the different computer model runs, with the most recent one at the top. Now, the colours are the key here. Blue means that low pressure is most likely to be in charge across the UK, and red indicating anticyclonic weather. High pressure is more likely to be in charge. And notice that as we go into next week, there is a pretty strong signal that the map or the graphic changes from blue to red. So there's quite a strong signal through next week. The pressure may well become higher than average. And higher pressure usually brings drier weather. Now, there's a lot of usually, possibly going on here because of that uncertainty I talked about with the jet stream. But there are signs that through the middle and end of next week, the pressure may become higher, so that gives an increased chance of drier weather. Now, this is just a projection, a trend into next week. If you've got specific plans, perhaps celebrating a wedding or something at the end of next week, then the message at the moment is definitely stay tuned to the forecast. The Met Office will keep you up to date through our website, our app, and of course, across social media.